Today we are reading from Bhagavad chapter 6, text number 43. So, there we go. So everybody repeat the word. So we do word for word in the Sanskrit. So Tatra Tam Buddhi Samyogam Labate Paurva Dehikam Yatate Cha Tato Bhuyaha Samsiddhau Kuru Nandana Tatratam Buddhi Samyogam Labate Paurvadehikam Yatate Cha Tato Bhuyaha Samsiddhau Kuru Nandana Tatratam Buddhi Samyogam Lavate Paurvadehikam Yatate cha tato bhuyaha Samsiddhau kuru nandana Tatra tang buddhiya sangyogam Lavate paurvadehikam Yatate cha tato bhuyaha Samsiddhau kuru nandana. Please repeat. Tatratam buddhi samyogam. Oh, sorry. Lavate paurvadehikam. Yatate cha bhuya. Samsiddhau kuru nandana. Tatratam buddhi samyogam Labate paurvadehikam Yatate cha tato bhuyaha Samsiddhau kuru nandana. Tatra, thereupon, tam, that, buddhi samyogam, revival of consciousness, labate, gains, paurvadehikam, from the previous body, yatate, he endeavors, cha, also, tataha, thereafter, bhuyaha, kurunandana, for perfection, again, samsiddhau, for perfection, kurunandana, osana kuru. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Kuru. Purport. King Bharat, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth from the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharat was emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharat Varsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavarta Varsha. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jad Bharat, because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalists get repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Datati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyatapatikabalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajeva Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Laita Shri Shakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhi Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustade Tapta Kanchana Gauragi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhrishavanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpatrivesha Kripa Sindhubhyo Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaputale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaputale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalashpatikakritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrimam Upasmahe. So here we are speaking on the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. And specifically here, Krishna starts to discuss the level on the level of the transcendentalist, a yogi who does not achieve perfection within this life of performing yoga, performing the process of devotional service or the process of transcendence, self-realization. So Arjuna is asking this question to Krishna, whether what happens, he asks, that Almighty Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? This is my doubt, O Krishna. And I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So Krishna says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Naivena Namutra Vinashatasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschid Durgatim Tattata Gacchati. The Supreme Personality God said, O son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world nor in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So here, Krishna starts to speak about a yogi who has undergone a long period of practice. So there's in the previous text, two types of yogis are discussed by Krishna. Those who under the practice of short-term yoga, but then the transcendentalist here, after a long practice, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists. So those who have been practicing yoga, the process of Krishna consciousness, yoga means to connect with Krishna. One who is performing that activity for a long periods of time, he gets an opportunity in his next life to remember this life also, if he is unsuccessful within this life. So there may be so many transcendentalists on the path of self-realization. And because the path of self-realization is like a raises edge, surasya dhara. It's like the raises edge. Any little sway can cut one, can distract one from devotional service. One may fall down, just like Shaurabhi Muni. In the water, when he was meditating, although a great yogi who'd been meditating for so long, he was agitated by two fishes even having sex. So the path of spiritual life is very narrow, actually. Although so many philosophies are there now that actually you can take any path and all paths lead to the same goal, this is actually a philosophical fallacy. Just like any path you take any plane you catch from Atlanta Airport is one of the biggest national airports in the world. It is the biggest national airport in the world. You can't have a ticket to Chicago and catch that plane and get to New York. Similarly, on the path of self-realization, one cannot just take any path. There is a system of knowledge by which one approaches the platform of self-realization. It is not just a matter of feeling. Of course, we've talked to so many people that have this idea that, well, my path is my path and your path is your path, your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth. So that means there is no truth, if you analyze that nicely. If you analyze that with a little bit of intelligence, you realize actually this doesn't make any sense. Because people who say like this, I ask them, so Hitler's truth is to kill the Jews. So that is also a path. What's wrong with that path? Your path is your path, his truth is his truth, my truth is my truth. With the Palestine's truth is to kill the, Israelis, and the Israelis' truth is to kill the Palestinians. What's wrong with that? What's the problem? There's no problem, right? His truth is his truth, my truth is my truth. You follow your own truth, we follow our own truth. Just like on the road, I'm from Australia, so we drive on the other side of the road, that's my truth. And your truth is to drive on the other side of the road. To me, that's wrong. So I'll drive on this, the wrong side of the road here. Because that's how I was brought up. America's backwards. So what will happen? Simply a crash. Nobody benefits. Everybody loses from such an ideology, such an idea. They think, that it means to think freely. The idea is that, well, if I have my own truth, that means I'm thinking freely. But actually, this idea of freedom itself is conditioned because somebody teaches you how to think freely. Somebody tells you have to think freely. So therefore, it is already it's a circular philosophy. You get told, oh, you got to think freely. Then you start thinking. But the fact that you got told to think freely is in itself not freedom of thought. So actually, there is no freedom of thought actually in this world. It is influenced by something. Our thought is influenced by something. We cannot have freedom of thought. Similarly, we cannot have freedom of picking and choosing whatever path I like. You can, but it has consequences. You drive on the road, on the wrong side of the road. I did that when I came to America. What do you see? You see a bunch of other cars coming towards you and you go, oh damn, I'm on the wrong side of the road. And I did that when I was first driving. They let me take the vehicle out by myself. I was coming back and I turned into the wrong side of the road. It's like, okay, yeah, I got it. And then I did a quick U-turn, went the other way. So one has to understand that even on this platform, one has to follow laws. So on the universal platform, on the spiritual platform, there's also laws that one must follow. There is laws, rules, and regulations by which one acts under in order to make spiritual advancement. You don't just do what you want to do. So just like anybody that wants to advance in material life, you approach someone for it. You don't just, if you want to become a great doctor, you don't just do it yourself. You can't, this one's not a DIY. Certain things you can maybe be able to do it. Maybe a nail and a hammer, you can do that by yourself. But to study something a little bit more complicated, to study something a little bit more, that requires higher level of intelligence, you could say, just like to study physics or study maths or to study biology or psychology. Psychology, maybe you don't need such a big degree, right? Or it may be becoming a doctor, such and such. In order to do that, you have to approach someone. You have to be able to go and learn from someone. You can't be like, I'm going to do it myself. Yes, I have my own way of fixing people. I have my own way of helping people. I have my own way of fixing someone's disease. I can cut into someone too. I have a knife. The doctor, they have a knife in the hospital. I have a knife at home. A fool may think like that. I have a knife at home and I can cut you open and take whatever is wrong with you, I'll fix it. But any intelligent man knows that he should not approach the person in his house to perform an operation. One should approach an institution. One should approach a hospital that is bona fide. Even when you go to a hospital or a GP, general practitioner here, you look at the reviews, say, are these people scamming me? You want to know that you're on the right place. You're on the right path. You're in the right place to become cured of the disease that is there. So similarly, one who is inquisitive about the path of spiritual life, he inquires about a proper path of spiritual realization. He doesn't just approach some Tom, Dick, and Harry on YouTube. Just whatever. They're saying so much nonsense. So much energy in the sky, and feel your heart chakra in the energy and merge into the light. What does all this mean? And nothing, none of it makes any sense. We just euphoric ideas or make feel good ideas. But actually it has no real reality in our lives and how we can actually benefit from this. But the path of transcendence, the path of Krishna consciousness, the path which gives us full knowledge is like sunlight. Just like, if we didn't have all these artificial lights, in darkness is very fearful actually. You don't know whether to go left or right. But when the sun rises, you can see everything very clearly. Everything makes sense. You know how to act now. You know where to walk, where not to walk. You know what to do and what not to do. And you can go about your activities with knowledge, with sight, with proper vision. You know which way to go. You know you want to get somewhere, you can go there. So that the path of Krishna consciousness gives us the light of knowledge. This gives us the light. Just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it comes, this Srimad Bhagavad Purana is like the sun. It has risen out of the horizon just after the departure of Lord Krishna. It causes a revolution within the hearts of the misdirected civilization. So this is a revolution of consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is not material consciousness. It's spiritual consciousness. It means to become conscious of Krishna. But one must inquire properly. Just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter, Tadvidi pranipadena pariprashne sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. One must approach a spiritual master. One must approach a teacher, a bona fide teacher, not some hocus pocus guru that flips an apple out of the sky. That's not what a guru is. A guru is someone who is in knowledge of the path of self-realization, his practice within it, and he doesn't just make a show, but he actually follows what he speaks. And what he speaks is according to Shastra, is according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's infallible. Therefore, the path of perfection, the path of spiritual life is perfect, because the knowledge itself is coming from a perfect person. The knowledge that we get from so-called spiritualists or even materialists, they're all imperfect because it's coming out of their tiny brains. It is coming out of their uncontrolled minds, their illusion senses, their senses which are full of, can make so many mistakes. They have the tendency to cheat. They're imperfect by nature. So such knowledge will not help us on the path of self-realization. So the spiritual master, he gives us this knowledge from the path, from coming straight from God, from Krishna, who is apaurushaya, who is above the influence of material nature. So a yogi, a proper yogi, he takes this path. A path which is bona fide, a path which leads one to the ultimate goal of life, which is to serve Krishna, to understand one's relationship with Krishna, and to engage in that service to Krishna. So a proper person with high intelligence, Sumedha, he, with proper knowledge and understanding, finds a spiritual master and engages in the process of devotional service. By how? By hearing, by singing, by dancing, chanting, taking prasadam, by associating, by smelling the flowers that are offered to the deities, by seeing the deities themselves, being in association with the devotees of the Lord, such and such. So by doing this, the devotee advances in Krishna consciousness. These are the services that the spiritual master engages the devotee in. You can give him some prasadam if he's leaving. Yeah, he's going to give you some food to go. Okay. So the sadhaka, the one who practices sadhana, one who takes upon this practice of spiritual life, he begins to make advancement. But due to his his contaminated situation, his material situation, his anarthas, which are the unwanted desires within the heart, when these unwanted desires within the heart are too strong, the yogi, the practitioner within devotional service, may also get diverted away from devotional service. He may fall from the path of devotional service, and that's what Arjuna is asking about here. What happens if I begin this, O Krishna, and I fall away? What will happen to me? I didn't gain this kingdom, and neither did I gain the spiritual emancipation or the spiritual perfection that you're talking about here. I didn't get any of them. What am I supposed to do now? They'll laugh at me. He's a Kshatriya. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? How to understand this? Dispel my doubt. Other than you, who can do it? So I'm inquiring from you. So the proper disciple, as you see in the mood of Arjuna, he inquires from the spiritual master when he has intense doubt. He inquires from the spiritual master because by that inquiry of that subject matter, which is very controversial, how does this verse start? Do you know this? Chaitanya Charitamrita. Siddhanta Baliya Chitti Nakarvalas. Ihaite Krishna Lagi Shuddhidda Manas. So that when one starts to discuss these questions which are very controversial, not shying away, then the faith in his Krishna consciousness becomes very strong. One does not shy away from controversial subject matters. Sometimes it's very controversial to discuss our own problems and lives, because we're very scared to ask those questions, because we know those questions, the answers to those questions may be so truthful that we would be forced to surrender. We'll be pushed to surrender, and we don't like that. We're like, oh, I want to enjoy my material desires. I want to go and enjoy. But one who is intelligent, when one who is very with sharp intelligence doesn't get carried away by that, he forces his mind to come under his intelligence, say, no, inquire from the spiritual master. Make this inquiry. He pulls his mind together. Because he has to use sharp intelligence for that. He has to be controlled to some level. Those who don't have that, Krishna speaks about in the second chapter. Those whose buddhi, his intelligence is very many-branched, is never steady. But one whose intelligence is one-pointed, one-directed, he is a person who is samadarshinaha. He is very stable. So a devotee, even though sometimes pulled by his senses and mind, if he can get his mind together to make these inquiries that are sitting deeply within our heart, although he has such material desires, just as Krishna says, oh Arjuna, cut this bondage with the sword of knowledge. Cut these doubts that you have with the sword of knowledge. Stand up and fight these doubts. That's why Arjuna is inquiring about all of these doubts, because Krishna is encouraging me. He says, stand up and fight, stand up and fight, stand up and fight. Don't let these doubts overcome you. Ask me these questions. I'm ready to explain everything to you. That is the position of the spiritual master. That is the position of a great devotee. That is the position of the guru. He's ready there with the sword in knowledge in hand. He shall cut through the binding knot of material existence. That is the position of the spiritual master. So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna in this 4th chapter. He's saying like that. This is one of my favorite verses. He's saying like that. Tasmad jnana sambhutam hritam jnana sinatmanaha chidvainam sangsayam yogam atishta bharata. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. That's why Arjuna in the next 2 chapters, he keeps asking Krishna a question. This is my doubt. This is my doubt. This is my doubt. Because Krishna tells him that you do not get slain by these doubts. You stand and fight. You're a Kshatriya. You fight. Don't be overcome by these doubts. Make the inquiry. Don't be lazy. As Prabhupada makes the point of many points throughout the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, one should not be lazy in his inquiry for self-realization. One should not be lazy. One should not be laxed. One should not be lethargic, but one should be enthusiastic. One Prabhupada said in one lecture, not lethargic, enthusiastic. Or what's the word he used? lethargic, energetic, one of the two. One should be very enthusiastically inquire from the spiritual master. Enthusiasm. Be ready to cut out doubts. Because what happens when you cut out doubts? What does Arjuna say? Now all my doubts have become dispelled. I shall surrender unto you, O Krishna. I have nothing more to inquire from, but I'll ask more questions for the benefit of others. He's ready. Because by conquering those doubts, we get Shraddhavan Jana Hai Bhakti Adhikar. Those we get faith, and one who has faith, he has the right for bhakti. He has the rightful claim to bhakti. Bhakti Adhikar, he becomes the rightful claimer of bhakti. Huh? Karishya Vachanam Tava. Where is this from again? I'll execute your order. He's ready to. You want a chair? Would you like a chair? Willie, Uncle Willie. So, there's one right here. There's one right here. So one is executed the order. Why? Because he's convinced. He's convinced. And when one is convinced, what does he experience? He experiences Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakankshati. He experiences that bliss on the platform of Brahman, on the platform of spiritual existence. He experiences no more hankering and lamenting. Fully joyful at the state of being. Fully joyful, not peaceful, joyful. People want peace, but Krishna consciousness guarantees us joy, bliss, transcendental bliss, eternal, constant. I saw this thing, it's saying, happiness is just, you have to accept that it just comes once in a while, and until you accept that, you won't actually ever be satisfied. That is true on one level, yes. But actually the spirit soul hankers that for a particular reason, because it is available at every step, at every word. Why? Because in the spiritual world, every word is a song and every step is a dance. So this is the nature of spiritual life. So this is the path of Krishna consciousness that we are presented by Krishna, by the spiritual master, as it is. And the yogi, the practitioner of yoga, he follows this path. Purvai purvartaram kritam. He follows the path that has been laid out. That path which is very old. Nobody likes old. But here that path which is being followed by those who have attained perfections. Many have attained perfection before, and many continue to attain perfection on the path of Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the knowledge is absolute. But if the yogi, he strays from the path, he's unsuccessful in his endeavor. Some stray after a short amount of practice, and some may stray after long periods of practice, in which Srila Prabhupada here gives the example of Bharat Maharaj, who at the stage of his Krishna consciousness was so filled with the love of Godhead that his heart was melting. It's mentioned like that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was so absorbed in hearing Krishna's pastimes, absorbed in thinking of Krishna, that his heart was melting. His heart was completely melted. But because there was some inattention, as Prabhupada writes in those purports, inattention in his practice, he fell down from the position. He fell down from his position and had to take upon another birth of a deer, because he became attached to a deer in his life. He was compassionate upon a deer. Just as a Vaishnava is very compassionate by nature, he was performing his activities or his meditations, and when he was going to get water from the river, and he saw a doe, and the doe heard a lion roar, and the lion roar caused the doe to jump, and the doe released her. She was pregnant, and the baby deer came out. And Bharat Maharaj became very compassionate upon that deer and took that deer upon his shelter, and gradually became more and more attached to it, to a point where when he would sit down to perform his meditation, the only thing that would be on his mind was the deer. He became attached to his material attachments again. He fell down from his spiritual position. This is, of course, he's showing us by his example. He is a pure devotee. But it's a very good example. He fell down from his position due to his false attachment to this deer. False attachment, false compassion upon the deer. He took it so much compassion that he forgot, it's mentioned that he completely forgot about Krishna consciousness. He forgot about it. So then he took the form of a deer in his next life, and because he had been practicing for a very, very long time, and because Krishna is very dear to the devotee, even in the animal form of life, he was able to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his past life and how he performed such difficult austerities to come to that platform and fell down. So as a deer, he realized this and he immediately took off to a place where the Brahmanas were and hung around them, took whatever small dry leaves that he did for the rest of his life and left his body there. He heard the hymns from the Brahmanas and then got a human form of life as Jad Bharata in a Brahminical family, as Krishna says. And in that state, at that point, he was self-realized. He moved about like a dumb idiot because nobody respects a dumb idiot, and he didn't want any sort of responsibilities because he was done. And that in the human form of life, it's the form of life which one can attain perfection. And he simply remained like a dull person, and he went on with his life. And Rahugana, who is the king, aristocratic king, his servants captured Jad Bharata and made him carry the palanquin with. And when he was carrying the palanquin, the pastime goes that he didn't want to step on the ants, so he would slow down the other servants. And then Rahugana chastised him. And then Jad Bharata spoke, and he speaks a great science of spiritual life in the 5th canto. It's really intense. He speaks heavily about material attachments, to let go of them, how one should become detached from this world, how this attachment leads to so much pain, that the conditioned soul is so foolish to become attached to this body. And the extensions of this body, family, home, friends, family, one becomes attached to it. And there, in that way, he glides his spiritual life to hell, not considering the ultimate goal of life. So, Bharat Maharaj was a very good example of a practitioner that had practiced for a very long time and was practically at the platform of perfection, but fell down. But immediately in his next life, he was able to remember everything and perfect his life pretty quickly. Only took him 2 births. That's pretty fast. So, Krishna is so kind upon the devotee that there is no loss or diminution on this path of Krishna consciousness. One should take it with full heart, because on the platform of material consciousness, on the platform of material advancement, there is no gain. There is no gain to be had on this platform. Everything is taken away from us at the time of death. Every single thing, every little piece of money that you earned, every family member, every home, every whatever cat, dog, whatever you may have, everything is taken away from us forcefully. Time I am the destroyer of all. And I've come here to destroy all worlds, Krishna says like that. So we start to see, for those atheists who don't believe in God, they see time, they see death as supreme. But if one is conscious, if one becomes Krishna conscious, then he realizes actually none of these things belong to me. So there's no more, there's no fear, there's no pain. One understands the real owner of all of these. What is this verse in the 6th chapter? Prabhupada calls it the peace formula. Forget. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. That he's the Sarvaloka of Maheshwaram. He's the owner of everything. Of all the worlds. My family, my home, my this, my that. No, this is owned by Krishna. When one realizes his consciousness, then he starts to progress on the path of perfection, by which he'll never lose that. When he starts to perform devotional service, he'll simply continue that in his next life. Krishna guarantees that for those who have been practicing for a good amount of time, after long practice of yoga. So we make it an endeavor in our life to practice Krishna consciousness, to remove these doubts, to kill these doubts that are constantly, entrapping us in this world. We make it a point to inquire from a proper person to destroy these doubts. Then we'll come to the platform of full knowledge. The darkness that is there within our heart will be completely removed. You don't have to think, oh, well, maybe now if I get this occupation next, maybe I'll become happy. It's not even guaranteed. It's hope against hope. People's lives are hope against hope. Blindly going towards, oh, maybe this will make me happy. Maybe, how many times in our lives did we think like, well, once I get this job, then I'll become happy. I'm going to work really hard through my university days, and when I get that job, I'll become happy. When I become this great sports star, then I'll become happy. Hope against hope. Actually, no, it didn't work out like this. Maybe it will work out like this. Maybe it will work out like that. It's all maybes. It's all speculations. But Krishna consciousness guarantees us a position, that blissful position. It guarantees it for us. Nobody can guarantee it. Philosophically, or practically. Because they don't have it. Because on the material platform, there's constant dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's misery. Why? Because it is temporary. Asashvatam. It's temporary. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's just temporary. It's constant misery. So when these things are temporary, they're taken away from us. But Krishna consciousness is an eternal process. So it goes on, life after life after life. You never lose. You're never the loser. Everything to gain, nothing to lose. Don't delay it, do it today. So this is the path of Krishna consciousness. There's nothing to lose. Everything we do in Krishna consciousness, even if it seems like it's a loss sometimes. Sometimes it feels like we couldn't perform some particular service properly, we couldn't do certain things. But just the fact that we're engaging in Krishna consciousness, that in itself is a success. So on this path, there is no loss. And it's very joyfully performed. We're not sitting here, we're dry and austere, and we're dancing and chanting and feasting. And as you'll get to feast downstairs, they made a huge feast today. Everybody's in India right now. And as you've noticed, there's not many people here. The women are in India, the men are in India. And then our other guys are in Miami. Nice warm weather. So the path of Krishna consciousness is very blissful by nature. But one has to remove these doubts. Without those doubts being removed, it becomes difficult. Because one is, as I quoted before, one's intelligence is very many-branched. Maybe I can stay on the material boat and the spiritual boat, but I don't know where to go. Indecisiveness causes us so much pain. Maybe like, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? It causes so much pain within the mind. Therefore, one should destroy those doubts and become established on the boat of transcendence, in which the path is lit by the spiritual master. He becomes the captain of the ship. The Vedas become the favorable winds. So one just has to now just stay together, keep himself together. You're the boat, and the spiritual master is guiding us. So to keep ourselves together, stay on the branch of devotional service. Don't jump off. Don't do too many. Don't kick the spiritual master off. So by doing this, if one, even after a long period of practice, happens to fall down, he will still be in a much more fortunate position. He'll still maintain his high platform of realization. Perhaps it's stunted for some time, but it will continue in his next life if he's not able to complete within this life. So there's no loss at all. There's never gone in vain, as Prabhupada says here. From his life, it is understood that transcendentalist endeavors or practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. So you will get repeated opportunities. You will get another opportunity to perform devotional service just because you've engaged in hearing and chanting about the Lord. So the more we do that, the more we give ourselves an opportunity to come to the platform of real happy, real blissful life, instead of the struggle of material existence. The struggle is always there with the body and mind here and there. But when one comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness, he transcends such thing, and none of these things matter anymore. And he even forgets that he has a material body, as we see that with our Goswamis. Our great teachers, you see all the way on the right here, they practically stopped eating and sleeping. They would sleep 1 hour a night because they were so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. No care, no feeling of the body, completely transcending. Srila Prabhupada only sleep 1 hour a night and then translate these books for the rest of the day and manage a whole international movement. The transcendentalists, they forget, not just forget, they overcome the material nature. They cross over this material existence. And they perform great acts. You see, Gaudakesha, as we were saying this morning, Arjuna, he's the conqueror of sleep. But although he sleeps, he's even in his sleep, he's thinking about Krishna. So this is the platform of devotion service. It is all perfect. It is all perfect. So one should make proper inquiries by which he can come up. You can challenge the philosophy. You can push forward. You can push your arguments forward. That is welcomed by the Krishna consciousness movement. So destroy those doubts within the heart and come to the platform of this divine consciousness. Come to the platform of this Krishna consciousness by which you become liberated. Become liberated from your pulling of the mind here and there, here and there. Chant Hare Krishna, chant many rounds, chant 16 rounds every day, more if you want. Read Prabhupada's books, cook and offer prasadam to Krishna. And your life, and come and associate with the devotees, and your life is perfect. That is all. That is all that is required. Nothing more is required. Eat Krishna prasadam, read Krishna conscious literature, do service, associate with devotees. That's it. That's all. Very simple. Simple process. So take upon this process and perfect our lives. There's no loss. So I'll end my class there. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. It's not working? Did you flip that thing in the middle? Oh, it's not. I don't think it's on over there. Anyways, just ask. It's okay. There's a mic there. Is that one on? Turn it on. Turn that one on.
So, Prabhu, you were saying that even if someone doesn't finish off their devotional service, they'll take another birth and then they will continue the devotional service where they left off. So it continues in the next life.
Yeah.
But people might be practicing the current life of devotional service from like many births before.
Yeah.
They might have done thousands of births of devotional service, and they are here. So you were also mentioning that we should practice with enthusiasm, right? So we should endeavor to go back in this life. We need to have a lot of determination to go back to life, right? That's just my comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Krishna conscious devotee, some have had past life experience, some of us, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, may have just come across it within this life only also. It's not that all of us were in touch with it in our last lives. So that is mentioned also that it comes about by chance. Bhakti, this bhakti mukhon sukriti, that pious activities that is required to perform devotional service. There's three. There's the karma karma mukha sukriti, and then there's the jnana, the process of jnana, and then there's the bhakti. So through the process of karma, one has to be situated in varnashram dharma, so that's available in India only. Now, not even that. And then second, jnana. One has to be some sort of philosopher within the a very intelligent person within the Vedic culture who studies the Shastras. But none of that is available to us. So the next one is bhakti. Bhakti, how is this attained by chance? By one just engages in devotion service by chance, unknowingly, and he's not envious of the principles of pure devotion service and of the devotees, then he gets that and then he's able to perform devotional service. So some of us may just been able to just buy books of devotees somehow or other, and that sparked that devotion path of devotion, lit that spark that required it to engage in devotional service. We gave some donation to the devotees, or even whatever, spoke with them in a nice way, took some prasadam, something like that, unknowingly. So not all of us, but there is few you can see very clearly that they perform bhakti in their past lives, and this is they're obviously taking off from where they left in their last life, and they're at a high advanced stage of Krishna consciousness. So generally those who are lucky to be born in Bharat in land of India, generally there, that is a pious birth. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam like that they desire, even the demigods desire to be born in that place actually, to take upon devotion service. In the 5th canto, in the prayers of the Dvipas, when it is Jambu Dvipas, sorry, not Jambu Dvip, the planetary system, when that is being described, there's a bunch of prayers that come, and they're praying like that in the heavenly planets, devotional service is not available, it's too much sense gratification. We're waiting to go back to Bharatvarsha, the land in earth, that specific land of India, to go and perform devotional service. So those who have taken birth, they're very fortunate, and they may take it up, and then like that.
But I mean, they have to remain in varnashram system.
That's for karma. Yeah.
Okay.
But now, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, this is, actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes the point that this is not so good anymore. Because when Varnashram was there properly, the karma yoga, the karmis, they would engage in the service of the devotees, and the devotees would engage them in pure devotional service. Means that whatever devotees would engage them in the service of Krishna, so they would give their fruits to Krishna. So in that way they would come up. And the jnanis, they would come across sadhus and they would associate with them. And they wouldn't consider that their primary process of self-realization. They would think it's secondary. But Krishna says like that, I'm very expert at those who even come in touch with them. I'm very expert at bringing them to the platform of full bhakti. But both those things are tainted with a lot of contamination within this age. There's the sadhus, there's no varnashram first of all. And then the sadhus themselves are cheaters. And so there's no way of those two processes. It's very difficult to come up through those two processes. Therefore, by the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada, this book distribution, the Harinam Sankirtan, and the Prasadam distribution, they create this, bhakti unknowingly. You engage in devotional service unknowingly. Who thinks that by eating some food you're doing devotional service? Who thinks by giving some money and getting some books you're doing devotional service? Who thinks by just hearing the chanting of the devotees on the street is devotional service? But these are all their primary processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Atma Nivedanam. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us that opportunity. So we're very grateful. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Yeah. I mean, Vedas were only taught to the first 3 castes in the Varnashram system.
Yeah.
They weren't taught to I mean, most people in this age wouldn't be qualified to hear the Vedas.
Yeah, Shudra, Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everybody's
Yeah.
everywhere's a Shudra in the age of Kali.
Yeah, but by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and the Guru Parampara, we have the daily recitation of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad
Oh
Bhagavatam.
yeah, every day is going on.
It's a great good fortune.
Yeah.
It's a great good fortune.
Anything else? Is there any other questions? You have a question? Yes. This is just for the audience can hear. I'll just give it to her.
So I never knew any of these things until I was almost 40 years old. So, like you were saying, it's kind of by chance that some people come here. So I feel like it can't really just be by chance. Like there must be
Of course.
some. So like, what is it that attracts, someone like me? I happened to be at a festival and saw some of you guys at that festival and talked to you guys. I could have gone, if I didn't go to that festival, I may never have
Yeah.
learned anything.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we, I guess, the average person might not ever go anywhere where you are.
Sure.
So how is the average person supposed to
Come to the platform.
come to the path? Yeah.
Yeah. That's the rare nature of it. That's the rare nature of devotion. So you see, like, how is it that this philosophy that originates in India, that is known by the great sages, that is, you would not imagine printed like this. It's all written down on palm, on leaves, and distributed like that with handwritten. It is that it's somehow become printed, translated properly. The correct translations. It's come to America. It's become spread, and then people have become devotees, and then somehow or other they're in Piedmont Park. Was it? Which festival did you meet us in?
I was at the Mushroom Festival.
In
It was Rollator Park, which is like
and
North
somehow
Georgia.
or other the devotees happened to be at a rollator park. This mushroom festival. It's unimaginable, and you happen to come across. And why is it that you're attracted? Because that purification is going on. You are ready to receive. You're aware of these things. You're like one, as Prabhupada comments that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, or Haridas Thakur says, that you are not envious of the devotees. You're not envious of the principles of pure devotional service. You appreciate them. Oh, these people are very nice. That's our qualification. You see, that's our quality. Oh, these people are very nice. They're doing very nice things. And so from that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the heart inspires you to go, you know what, why don't you go to this place? Why don't you check out these people? See who these people are. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead from within the heart, just by that little desire of the living entity, he inspires the living entity to take upon devotional service, come across devotees. It's mentioned like that by Haridas Thakur, that just by that one attains the association of devotees. Just by that appreciation, by coming across them and just by appreciating them like that. And if one is sincere, then he follows up. So like that. It's mentioned like that. So yeah, all of us who were sitting in this room, we had appreciation for devotees. We saw them and we go, wow, these people are something else. These people are not ordinary. And because when we were able to do that, then we could take up on devotional service. I never thought like that when I was younger. I was associated with the movement from when I was a kid. But I never thought, I always thought these people are not so amazing. But later when I came across also the right people, then I realized, what's so special? I see something very special about these people that are very different. And then, when I read Prabhupada's books now, I realize that was the, thing that really pushed my devotional service forward by having appreciation. Wow, these people are really something else. Like, who are these people? What's the difference? Like, what is the deal? So that inquiry comes about by appreciating the devotees like that. So like that, you had attraction towards the devotees, you had appreciation for them, and so therefore, but most people don't like the idea that of stopping their sense gratification. They don't even want to hear about it. Hey, you won't be happy if you just have sex and drink and all this. Now I don't want to hear about it. And then become envious of the devotees. These people they're just nasty people. They just want to ruin my day. They just want to party pooper, be a party pooper here. So people who are not intelligent, they don't realize what is good for them and what is not good for them. So devotees, they may not appreciate the devotees. So one has to have some level of appreciation, like that.
So that's like you were saying, that you will remember that somewhere in a past life you had some other devotion. So that a person who has that at some point, they will meet this kind of coincidence and then be drawn to it?
Yes, so only some. As is mentioned, those who performed long practice, who are practically there, like this close. We can tell from our point. Obviously, we're not that close, because you'll see devotees who are like on that platform, and it's like you can tell, okay, this person is like on another level. It's like way above the league of everyone else. It's like, okay, this person's pretty much finishing off this life now, finishing it off here. So you can generally see that in certain devotees. They just come and it's like a fire just lights out of nowhere, and you just go on and then perform great amounts of devotion service, become really advanced, and go back home, back to Godhead. But so that does not mean that you, let's say yourself, coming across devotion service at the age of 40, that does not mean that you can attain perfection. Doesn't mean you have to go through another life. The process of devotion service is perfect. If you engage in it perfectly, in the right way, under the guidance of a proper teacher, there's no doubt that you can attain perfection. Not a single doubt. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Name bhakti. There's not. My devotees will never perish, O Arjuna. You tell them. Krishna says to Arjuna, you tell them that my devotees shall never perish, because if his devotees make a promise, Krishna cannot, he always fulfills it. But if he makes a promise, he doesn't, sometimes he's a little bit of transcendental cheater. But he says to Arjuna, you promise them, that you say it, you declare it, that my devotees shall never perish. One who takes up on this path of devotional service, they shall never perish. I shall carry what they lack and protect and preserve what they have. Krishna promises the devotee this. So we can attain perfection if we have proper understanding, proper guidance, proper sincerity. It's not at all anybody, any age. Prabhupada says like that. There's no material situation in which one cannot be Krishna conscious. Whether one is a woman, a man, old man, young man, baby, whatever it may be. If we chant the holy name of the Lord purely and engage in devotion service with the devotees of the Lord, there's no problem. No, you only actually have to do one thing, is associate with devotees. There's nothing more you have to do. Because if you associate with devotees, everything else will come. So Prabhupada has provided these big places, temples around the world, around North America has been provided for this particular reason, to create an association of pure Vaishnavas who can give others the message of pure Krishna consciousness. So this is the place is here for that. So anyone can come anytime and associate with the Lord, as devotees of the Lord. They're here all the time. I'm not a devotee, so I'm sometimes here. No, I'm here. I'm here, but trying to be a devotee. So you can come and and engage in devotional service in different ways. Very good way to live your life. Whatever, how many times you can come, and then practice at home. Attend the classes online. In the modern world, there's no scarcity of association. There's no scarcity of being able to hear. So, anything else? No? Okay. Anything else? No? Oh, you have something? Okay, yes.
As you were speaking about
Just take it.
that opportunity arise,
Uh-huh.
when, such as what she said about that time at 40. 40 is normally associated with a discipline, 40 years, 40 days, whatever, 40. That's also part of the karma that we have created in past lives to bring us to a position to where, as they say, when the teacher is ready, the pupil will appear. When the pupil is ready, the master will appear. So it's all part of that karmic journey.
Karma doesn't give a rise to devotion service at all.
What I'm saying is your past karma has created an opportunity for you to be in a position to meet that particular master.
Not in this case.
Well, I've been told by some devotees, some spiritual
No, because
brahmacharis,
see, but that
that I ask this question. I say, I don't know what in my life caused me to be in this position.
not your karma.
The way that my life has been, that I would have lived through some of the things that I had done in this particular life to be in a position to be with devotees and to know Krishna consciousness. And I was told by a brahmachari that it's from my past deeds in a past life which has brought me to this position where I am, which allowed me to be in this position because of some things that I did in the past. As you're saying, the devotion that I may have done in the past has put me in this position now to be able to be in Krishna consciousness because
Sure.
I had started that in a past life. So that would have to be somewhat of a karmic
It has to be
situation.
proper qualification of that. Like, the qualification being that one is engaged in devotional service, but not karma. Not karma. Your karma will never give a rise to devotional service. So your karma doesn't give a rise to devotional service. It's very important to understand because it implies that just by performing some sort of karmic activities, one can come to the platform of a situation where one can perform devotional service. That's not true. Just like this, we met her at a mushroom festival in which absolutely the karma you have to be in such a situation is not generally very good. It's not, overall North America, being in North America is sinful karma because it's a sinful land. But if one has performed some level of devotional service in his past life, yes, that it may come across the devotees and he'll take it up. But not in the sense that one has performed. This is called Agyata Sukriti. This is a different type we're speaking. So just clarification, it's not specifically whatever karmic activities we performed in our last life. There may be some touch of devotional service that we performed, and it'll help us. But even that, we should understand that it's only by the mercy of the devotees we're able to do it, not by our own endeavor. That is a very important point. Not our own actions caused us to come to the platform of devotional service ever. It's by the mercy of the devotees. Because if we think, it was I did it, then Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai. Bhakti Lata Bija. Only by the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality, Godhead and spiritual master. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita says like the Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, by good fortune. So it's not brought about by our own karma, but it's brought about by the great fortune created by great devotees like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said like that to his disciple, you have no good fortune, absolutely none. I have created you good fortune. So it's very important to understand that by our karma, we are malechas. We're born in this, if you were born, generally, the standard of Vedic culture, if we are born in the Western world, this is malecha. Malecha country means of the lowest classes of human beings who eat cows and all sorts of things. So we should understand by our karma we're doomed to go to hell. but by the mercy of the devotees. If we had good karma, we'd be born in India, where there is devotees everywhere, there is devotional service available, where constant glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going on, and then we can say, okay, yes, I performed some devotional service in my last life, and that took it up. But in the West, we can understand, where there's not many good qualities that we have here. Or in a devotee family, yeah. Devotees are both, yeah.
There are still the same principles were taught here. They were not readily adhered to.
Yeah,
but-
Pashat, but it's outside. Actually, the Vedas define that which falls outside of the Vedic paradigm as atheistic.
Okay, now, if you're saying it falls outside of the Vedic paradigm,
Outside of the Varnashram system, outside of understanding the principles of Varnashram.
okay, I understand. And those principles were still taught here. They were not so readily followed. But those same principles were taught here.
But it's still a Malacha country. That's the
Oh, yeah,
definition.
I agree that
So that's what
it's-
I'm saying. It's not by our
Yeah,
karma. That's a very
yeah.
important point to understand.
But I know, just as Prabhupada said, that he had to leave India to get Krishna consciousness spread.
Yeah, to give it to us.
Because it was a lot of Indians, and just like nowadays, that country is starting to become westernized so much
Yeah.
that they're really forgetting about their own
Sure,
heritage.
that is there. That is the nature of Kali Yuga. But
Right.
you'll see still big difference. They're still attracted
Mm-hmm.
very much, and you'll see they're taking devotional service very easily
Mm-hmm.
compared to what is like in the West. But it's just an important point that by karma we don't attain Krishna consciousness. By our karma we don't get Krishna consciousness. There may be a favorable situation in some circumstances, but we can understand in this position that we've been born in, and that then it is by the mercy of the devotees. Even if you're born in a pious situation, we should still understand that it wasn't my pious situation, it's by the mercy of the devotees. This is a very important principle of spiritual life, to make sure we understand that the only reason that I'm in devotional service is by the mercy of those devotees. Without this understanding, we're finished. This has to be there in our lives. Otherwise, kartaham iti manyate, this bhav, this consciousness of I am the doer. Yeah, prakriti kriya manani guna karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So one has to be careful in the consciousness that even if sometimes it seems like, okay, our karma brought that about, whatever. Like if one is born in India and he takes up Krishna consciousness, okay, he was born in a good situation where right next to him there's constant glorification of the Lord going on, sure. But even still, like, who's glorifying? The devotees. How is he hearing? Because of the devotees. So we should always take our understanding as the mercy of the devotees, whatever situation that came about of our Krishna consciousness. That should be the primary understanding. Otherwise, we're not in a good position to understand pure devotional service.
Haribo.
Yes. Huh? Oh, anyways, it's so okay. Anything else?
No, Haribo.
Okay, all right. Nothing from you. No, you got something? Okay, all right. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
This isn't working at all.